Regarding the Breast Milk Performance Improvement Program, here's how we approached the study stage. When we measure outcomes and evaluate the change in process, did it work as expected? Were there problems identified with the change in process? In our case, our changes in our feeding protocol worked very well, and they did work as expected. We realized an improvement in our rate of NEC and late onset sepsis, similar to what we reviewed in the research, in our literature review. There really were no problems identified with the change in process. I will say the only detail we missed was when we increased our tubing changes from every 24 hours to every 8 hours, we hadn't adjusted the inventory of our extension tubing, so we had to wait and start that part of the protocol when the tubes came in. That was very minor. Otherwise, everything worked very well, and we were very pleased with the way the process change was implemented. It is important in any PI project that you monitor the staff for understanding and compliance. You want to make sure that the change in process is being followed. If it's not, is there a barrier to compliance that was not anticipated? In our case, I made sure the protocol was followed during NICU rounds and that a copy of the feeding protocol was available to all staff. We have not had any issues with that. Everyone's been very proactive and very involved with making sure that the protocol is followed to the letter. I think that's the reason we have had so much success with those changes. When we talk about measuring outcomes, this is just an example of a simple form that I developed. It doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be complicated. I think it's good, again, to keep things as simple as possible. I used this form when I did the retrospective chart review and compiled the data to determine our current rate of NEC and late onset sepsis, and then I used the same form to measure our outcomes after implementation of the feeding protocol. After I actually used that simple data collection form, I would compile the data and enter it on an Excel database. Every year I compile the data for tracking the outcomes, from May 1st of one year through April 30th the following year. Each year I keep adding to our numbers to see if we are continuing to meet those outcomes. Are we continuing to see improvement? Again, doesn't have to be complex or expensive or complicated. Since implementation of the revised feeding protocol in our unit, the rate of NEC has been reduced from 10.6% to 1.5%, and the rate of late onset sepsis from 10.6% to 7.7%. In addition, average number of days on total parenteral nutrition has been reduced from 15.2 to 9.3, with average cost of TPN per infant admission reduced from a little over $9,000 to a little over $6,000, or reduction by about 1/3.